Hello everybody, it's Shirley and today I'm going to give you a tour of my crazy quilt. This has been ongoing for a long time and I pick it up every now and again and I keep it going and then put it away, but I'm trying to get it finished. What I hope to do today is just show you the threads I use when I do my embroidery for the seams and any of the embellishments. So where to start? Well, we'll go in here first and have a look at what's happening in here. There's a couple of threads happening in here. This here is ribbon and I've couched it down and I've used the French knots in like a very thin pearl, and then up in here I've used the silk ribbon and the leaves are chenille thread. Usually with chenille thread it's best to couch it down as it's a very fine like furry thread that can break if you keep pulling it through your fabric. In here I have a very fine cotton pearl, and then that's done in this feather stitch here, and there's cotton pearl also for the French knots as well. This piece of writing here was given to me in a swap, and they've just used a permanent pen marker so it don't fade or run, but I can embroider over the top of that if I want. Down in here I have a variegated thread, and this is a cotton pearl again. No, this is just a plain cotton. This is a crochet cotton that you can buy in variegated thread. Sometimes it's called tatton thread as well because it is fine, and that's also crochet thread as well. And I've used the crochet thread down in here. For this little chap in this section here, what I did is I had him embroidered on a piece of fabric, and I just cut the fabric out and applied it to this bit of fabric. This is stitched in DMC embroidery thread, and the body is stitched in satin stem stitch. Yes. Over in here again we have a mix of threads happening. This here is DMC thread, and I have cotton pearl thread. No, that's just straight cotton, and more DMC thread. This section here, what I've done is, if I have very short lengths of thread, this is DMC thread, and I just stitch it, and when it finishes I pick up another thread and just keep moving along with that. This is DMC thread as well. You can see in here how I've applied my fabric down to other pieces. Underneath all this is, these are done in, I think they were 8 by 8 squares. I think you could see it here. You can see that's 8 by 8, I think, yes. And I put the fabric on a foundation fabric and just applied it down. What's happening in here? This is cross stitch with DMC thread, and I used the waste canvas method to put the cross stitch on, and you can see this happening up in here. I use this very fine linen, and then when I'm done I pull all these threads away and the cross stitch is left on that underneath fabric. That's how I do that. other threads that I use. This is a very glittery crochet cotton as well, and these are in the French knots. And I also combine like the silk ribbon, so there's silk ribbon roses and the fine cotton pearl, and there's crochet cotton in here with the silk thread, and this is leaf stitch and silk thread. On this part here I've used the variegated crochet cotton and just a DMC thread. These two little things here were stamps, and I embroidered them because I can use stamps, as you can see here, and I use a stays on ink because I know it won't run. And what else is happening in here? Oh yes, there's this again, a combination of threads to make the spider web. It's a black crochet thread and a silver thread, if you can see in there. And for the leaves I used silk ribbon in the leaf stitch, and the berries crochet cotton as well, and the stems are stitched in stem stitch with DMC thread. And you can see down in this section I've used stamps with the stays on ink. This here is printed on fabric. It was given to me in a swap. It uses the inkjet inks because they don't run. So there's that. I have plenty of old embroidery, and I've cut up ones, you know, where they're really tatty and, you know, they end up in the dump, so I made use of them. More just plain DMC thread here. If you can look in here, you can see where I've ran out of the colour, but I just kept going. And that's the same with these little French knot things in here. They use very short lengths of thread, and I just picked up the colour and kept on going. Over in this section I've used a piece of lace, you know, lace ribbon, the length of it, and I just cut a little bit off for it. And this is satin stitch and a bit of stem stitch on around the outside, and that's in DMC thread. And this is just those little shop bought roses that you buy. This is just normal DMC thread in satin stitch, this rose here, and you could see a combination of threads happening in here. Up in here, again, just normal DMC thread, picking up whatever colour I had in the thread pile. This here, you could see the cross stitch on the waist canvas happening, and just some plain seam embellishments going on. And here is a stamp as well. Down in here with the spider, you can see the glittery thread that's been joined with DMC black to make that thread sparkle. And in here I've used ribbon and couched it down, and I've used a plush stitch to make this bumblebee with the silk ribbon. You can see that the thread's all raised up and furry. This is just straight DMC thread again. And here is couch down ribbon. You know, the ribbon you get in, it's not really embroidery ribbon. So there's that. Well, that's the tour of my crazy quilt and the ribbons I've been using and the threads. I'm not putting any beads or buttons on this. It's just all straight stitching, and that's probably why it's taken me so long. Okay, that's all from me today. Thank you for watching. Bye.